How's it going, ISM family? At Illinois Student Ministries, we raise money for Speed the Light so that missionaries can have the equipment that they need to do the work that God has called them to do. And today, we wanted to share the story of one of the missionaries that you have helped with your giving. Introducing my friend, Jeremy Skinner, missionary to Indonesia. My hope for sharing his story with you guys is that it will inspire you to follow the call that God has laid on your heart to both give to missions and live on mission. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like the video on YouTube and share the podcast with a friend. And to keep up with all of ISM's content, be sure to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, your favorite podcasting app, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks again for joining us today. Now, on to my conversation with Jeremy Skinner, missionary to Indonesia.
My name is Jeremy Skinner. My wife Tina and I, along with our two daughters, Amelia and Evelyn, are missionaries to Indonesia from the Illinois district. Indonesia is in Southeast Asia, and it's a nation of about 17,000 islands. So it's a huge area. It's actually as wide as the United States on the map. So it's a really large country. It's not only the fourth largest country in the world by population, there's about 250 million people, but it's also the largest Muslim population in the world. So it's an incredibly diverse nation. There's hundreds of people groups, different languages across all the different islands. So, you know, there's always plenty of unique experiences, interesting things that happen every day. But I could say, if you ever want to try eating some fried grasshoppers, drinking some bird spit, just come on over. You can try it.
That sounds like a breakaway camp game. We need to get some bird saliva and fried grasshoppers.
Yeah, I got plenty of ideas for you. So back in 2019, we finished language school and we moved to the island of Sumatra, which is in Western Indonesia. And Sumatra is actually one of the largest and most unreached islands in the world. So it's a huge island. It's about the size of California, just to give a little perspective. So we live in South Sumatra, and here there's where we live, there's about 10 million people in unreached or least reached people groups, which means, they have little to no access to the gospel. Maybe there's a few churches, a few Christians, but there's not widespread access to the gospel. And then there's actually about 1 million people in what we call never reached people groups, meaning there's never been an effective gospel witness among these people. There's no churches, there's no Christians. So I can tell you firsthand, right? The need here is great and the workers are few.
Wow. And so when it comes to contexts like Indonesia, the need is obvious just with the absence of Christianity and just how apparent it is where there's no churches, and you could probably count the number of Christians on your fingers and toes, and that's it, right? So when it comes to getting the gospel to that area, how do you go about doing that in your context?
Yeah, so we live in the largest city in South Sumatra called Palembang. And so, we have lots of different opportunities living in a bigger city, bigger area. And because of that, we're kind of working in a few different lanes of ministry here. I think first, we've always felt called to take the gospel to the ends of the earth, right? So, Palembang is a strategic location for us because it's kind of centrally located. To where we can drive out to many of the unreached places here in South Sumatra. So one of our primary focuses has been visiting some of the local churches in the different cities in South Sumatra, and we're looking for people who God is calling to move to never reached areas and then reach the people there. So I mean, these never reached places, they haven't been reached yet just because they're hard to reach. So sometimes they're hard to get to. Sometimes they're closed to outsiders. So actually, as a foreigner, I can't even go to some of these places. So, we've been working to recruit, train, and send local believers to be able to live and work in these areas, and then they can bring the good news to places where it's never been before. So you can see this kind of really our passion. But we're also working with some local churches and church planters to help them reach out and plant new churches in areas where they're able to, where they're open. There's some places where they are open, and we believe that the church is the hope of the world. So, we love getting to empower these guys, support them as they move to new areas. And I think finally, I guess one of the greatest benefits for us is that, we can speak English pretty well, right? So, we're also building an English-speaking community here where we live, and we're reaching people who are looking for opportunities to learn and practice English, and it's always a great bridge, to connect with people and bring them in. So, there's endless opportunities to shine the light of Jesus here.
That's awesome. And so when it comes to Speed the Light, which is what our students, the organization that our students give money to send off to missionaries and to give to different missions projects all over the world, how have you and your team personally benefited from Speed the Light giving?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're so thankful for Speed the Light, and especially Illinois Student Ministries. I mean, you guys have provided a great vehicle for our family. And, with South Sumatra being so large and just really hard to get around, you have empowered us, you have enabled us to get to places where otherwise we just couldn't go. It's hard to get to these places. And it's crazy. We've actually been able to drive to places where the gospel has never been, right? Just think about that. In almost 2,000 years since Jesus gave the Great Commission, there are still places where there has not been an effective gospel witness. And I literally drove there to some of these places in my Speed the Light vehicle. I mean, right? It still just kind of blows my mind to think about that. And, we're also so thankful for, the other opportunities that Speed the Light provides with ministry equipment, whether that's for us or even just many of the local churches here that now have quality worship equipment for their churches to help get the word out to more people. So, I mean, Speed the Light is such an empowering ministry, making a huge difference all around the world. And I can especially say for us, I mean, we could not do this without you.
That's so encouraging to hear that God does, like, this money that isn't just given and then it disappears. Like, God is putting it to work to build his kingdom all around the world, even in Indonesia. And that's encouraging to hear. Can you share another story of a win that you've seen God at work in where you're at?
Yeah, man. I mean, some of our recent trips have just been great. But I would say, man, a huge win recently was with a guy that we found who God has called to move to a never reached area. And, I can't really say his name or where he is on here, but, a few months ago, we helped him move into a town not too far from this target area so he could start, taking trips there. And it was so funny because I was driving him around on the back of a motorbike. We're going through these small roads to get there. And so I had to leave my Speed the Light car at the main road and borrow a motorbike to get him where he'd be staying. And so, I mean, you can just imagine the looks that we're getting from the people there, right? This bright red-headed foreigner driving a motorbike around town with an Indonesian on the back with all his bags. I mean, I'm sure we're all over social media there, right? Taking pictures and all kind of stuff. So it's always fun. You always see the phones come out when they see me coming. But he just shared with me recently this huge win on one of his recent trips into the target area. He was able to meet some of the local never reached people, and that they were open and receptive to hearing the gospel and then to meeting again next time. So just an incredible testimony of the gospel reaching places it's never been before, right? So, I mean, I can tell you, even in the midst of a global pandemic, God is working and paving new roads to these people who, I mean, really, they've been waiting long enough to hear about him, right?
Right. And I think that statement that you just made can apply to the friends in our public high schools that the students of Illinois know, to the unreached people in the 1040 region of the world, wherever, they've waited long enough. And I think that statements should hit us hard. And so what would you say to the students of Illinois? Our heart at Illinois Student Ministries is that we give to missions and that we live on mission. And so what would you say to students to help motivate them, or to help them understand why it's so important to live on mission and to give the missions?
There's so many distractions and things going on in the world right now. But I can tell you there's nothing more fulfilling than living a life of serving others and sharing Jesus, right? So Jesus gave this incredible mission that we can all be a part of, right? It's so much bigger than anything else, right? Think about that. The creator of the universe gave a mission to the church to affect all eternity. He said, go make disciples, right? He said, this gospel will be preached in all the world as a witness to every people. So what could be better than being a part of that, right? So we see ourselves as your hands extended to Indonesia, right? We're all the body of Christ. And so, I might be a hand that reaches out to Indonesia, but that hand is connected to an arm, and the arm is connected to the body. It's the body of Christ. And really, this is the mission that God has given us. And we all can play a part. And really, there's something about living generously that keeps your heart in the right place, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart is. So I would just say, when you give generously, when you live on mission, there's this joy, this fulfillment, nothing else. It keeps you in this place of being thankful and blessed, no matter what you're facing in life. It keeps you grounded in God, right? And that's really the most important thing.
Thanks again for joining us today. If you enjoyed this talk, be sure to check out other talks and conversations that we've had with leaders. I think you guys will enjoy those a lot as well. Again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, family. Love you guys.